Oh, sorry. Jeez, there we go. Sorry, a bit of issues, but getting started. But yo, guys, it's Old Man G here, back again with another match preview for the channel. It's a bit late, and obviously there's a lot of stuff that's gone on today. So I probably would have done this yesterday, but it is what it is because obviously I know the big obvious news today is essentially that the title is basically City's, and fair play, City deserve it. They've been by far the better team. Arsenal completely bottled it. Completely. I don't know what else to say. That Arsenal completely bottled the league. They've completely and totally bottled the league. But remember, guys, if you are new to the channel, to like, share, and subscribe to Red Devil Studio. Follow us on Twitter and X, and smash the notification button for latest Manchester news and more. So there's a few things to talk about. This is obviously a Spurs preview, but I just want to just go through a few things. Obviously, I think the thing I'll start off with the first is just briefly just giving my thoughts on City, and how the thing and how we really need to stop City from getting a treble. I generally thought Arsenal could do it, but you know the fact that they both. The reality is that I think a lot of people, I'll just quick this. A lot of people are going to start with, oh, it's they lost it because they couldn't beat City. But the reality is that Arsenal Football Club, had they beaten Everton, which have been 3 points, had they not dropped points 2-0 down to Liverpool, that's 2 points. They don't drop another 2 points to West Ham, and they don't drop another 2 points at Southampton. They're 9 points clear. They're 9 points clear of City with 2 games in hand, regardless of whether City win their games in hand or not. And even if you can exclude the Liverpool result, that's still 7 points. So to be honest, Arsenal only have themselves to blame when it comes to this respect, and so I think this puts more emphasis on Manchester United having to finish the season well. And by finishing the season well, I mean winning that FA Cup. Because whatever you say, we had obviously a good result of the weekends. We managed to get through Brighton penalties. We have now a fifth place in the FA Cup final. And I think that if you tell me at the beginning of the season that United potentially would get a third place finish with 2 trophies at the beginning of the season, I would bite that. Even if those two trophies are the Carabao Cup and FA Cup, it's still it's progress. It's progress. It's progress. It's progress, and it's progress it's going into the right direction, especially when we're hearing about ownership, which again we'll talk about just briefly now, because we are going to get to the match review, guys. We are going to get to the match review. I just want to just recap a few things, because there are reports coming out this evening about how our club. And obviously, before I get apologies, I have a feeling I may have set this earlier than not. So if that was the case, I'm sorry if people got notifications out. I always try and get the right timings on my StreamYard sort of streams, but sometimes they'd be a bit off. So I do apologize for that, just in case there are people that waiting that didn't. But yes, we are live. But anyway, going back to it, there's stuff coming out right now which is basically saying that Sir Jim Radcliffe is prepared to keep to keep the Glazers of the football club, basically. As a like his first choice option is still to sell Manchester United, obviously. To buy Manchester United with a full takeover to buy, but it seems anyway that Sir Jim Radcliffe may actually give the Glazers an alternative option. And by that I mean the alternative option is, hey, by the way, just so you know, if Avram and Joel, you guys want to stay at the club, then I'm willing to buy out all the other family members and Joel and Avram stay. Now, for the life of me, I don't understand why Joel, like the other families. So clearly, when we know this, the other families want to sell the club. Okay, they clearly do, So I don't think the other Glazer family members particularly care about Manchester United, and I don't think they've ever particularly cared about Manchester United. They haven't, So the fact that it's an option for Sir Jim to basically almost I won't say tear the Glazer family apart, but basically just sort of say, oh well, we could we'll buy out your siblings and keep you there. I don't know. For me, it's just mad, because it not only divides the family, but more importantly, it's like I don't quite understand why the Glazers still want to come. Why do they want specifically John Avram to stay at the football club? For what? Are they thinking that they're going to make tons of money later on? I don't get it. Is it the sentimental value? I don't know. I don't know. But it must be something, because we obviously don't want them at the club anymore. So yo, what's up? Hope you're doing well, SB. Thank you for tuning in. Really appreciate it. So yeah, like I said, I generally don't understand it, but if the reports are true, this potentially does swing the whole process potentially in Sir Jim's favor, because not only is he offering an option to buy out the club outright, which is still obviously there, but also he's giving an option of keeping the Glazers. Now, personally, for me, I think that I don't think this particularly makes Sir Jim particularly popular. Clearly, the Qataris have said that I've not given this option. Maybe they will. I don't know, but so far they've not, which probably implies that these guys are probably going to be focused on wanting a full sale as opposed to a stake or whatever. But at the end of the day, would we be if the Glazers sort of think that a Sir Jim with them staying is going to bet them to the fans? They've got nothing coming. And I know there are protests going on at this weekend on Sunday, and I think they should continue to go on because I think that there's a lot of positivity around the club right now, around the players, on the team. And I think that a lot of Glazers are using that to hide behind the reality that people do not actually want to be. They don't want the Glazers to stay at the football club, basically. So yeah, It's unfortunate for Sim. Shout out to Jarvis in the chat, man. Hope you're doing well, buddy. It's unfortunate, but the Glazers have to go. They have to go. They have to be gone at some point. They can't stay at this football club. You know, it is what it is. They just can't stay here. But yeah, let's just progress forward. Let's quickly just talk about the game, or the upcoming Spurs game. So I'll say this. I think a lot of people 2 weeks ago laughed at me when I told you that I'm not fearful about Spurs when it comes to the top four. And at that point, I think they just gone above us because we lost to Newcastle. And I was like, I'm not worried about Spurs and not getting top four. I'm not. Lo and behold, 2 weeks later, Spurs completely capitulates as they did against Bournemouth and then got battered by Newcastle. And obviously, we play them, and then they play Liverpool, I think, at Anfield. So, really and truly, as far as I'm concerned, Spurs' campaign for top four is probably going to be finished by the end of this week. I bet a bit longer. You know, it's possibly going to be 4 losses in a row if they lose, at home to Manchester United, because they lost to Bournemouth, lost to Newcastle. We'll talk about whether or not United can beat them, but they'll definitely lose to Liverpool at Anfield. So that's 12 points, So, and I think looking at the table, I just don't see how they come back from that, given that we have 2 games in hand against them, and we're still 6 points ahead of them. So this is a must-win game. I think the Spurs one is why I think it might be a bit difficult, because I think if Spurs win the game, then even though we have 2 games in hand over them, there'll be an element of in the players, maybe we can catch up. It'll galvanize them, will make them to fight, and you never know. But I genuinely believe if United beat Spurs and then away and then beat Villa in this week, you could make a very strong case that top four is basically sorted. It's done. It's finished. There's no issues to talk about. I think. What do I think? I think that Spurs are clearly going to be a wounded animal, and will want to come at us and will want to sort of do something for the fans, especially because they're playing at home. Now, as Ten Hag said in his press conference, the Spurs players, Spurs fans, no one should have more greater pride than the Manchester United players. And so if I will switch off the TV if I see no effort from this Manchester United players, like I did see against Sevilla away. Zero effort, zero commitment. It was awful performance, and I don't want to see that awful performance for quite some time. Preferably not in the FA Cup final, but you know what it is what it is. So at the end of the day, I just think that I think that looking at the fixtures and comparing the two, I don't think United have anything to be worried about personally. But I guess the key question is, and what you guys think in the comments, is can Manchester United beat Spurs? But before we get into it, let's go through the starting 11. So I'll just click this out. Obviously, from the press conference, Ten Hag's press conference, it appears that Bruno is probably not going to be available. So that makes obviously things interesting. From my understanding, Martial and Rashford are fine. So yeah, the main injury concern so far, I think, is Bruno Fernandes, who hopefully will be back by the weekend, but it could be the week after. But yeah, definitely Martial and Rashford, I think, from what I can gather, have been confirmed to be fit to be available. So let's quickly go for the starting 11, guys. Thanks again for tuning. Remember to leave a like and subscribe if you're new. So De Gea goes in goal. Let me just quickly change the formation. 4-2. Okay. Now we don't need 2. Well, okay. Now we'll do this. Okay, so De Gea obviously in goal. David De Gea will do his thing. It is what it is. Then right back is gonna it is gonna be interesting because Maguire is obviously going to be available, and it'll be very interesting to see how we go and and start against Spurs. I think it's a difficult one because there is a bit of height in the Spurs side, but I just think that it's just not a good idea to start Maguire. It just really isn't. Like anytime he starts, maybe it's a confidence thing, I don't know, but it's just not a good idea to start him. So I would not start Harry Maguire personally. Don't have anything against the guy, but I just don't think he's good enough for Manchester United. I'm sure if you're a Leicester fan, you take him back. So it is what it is. But yeah, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't start Harry Maguire. Um, but so I would start Luke Shaw obviously in the side. Sorry. Uh, and then Lindelof, and who deserves to be picked given his performances, obviously in the recently, but also in the FA Cup. Right back, I think let's just go to Wan-Bissaka. Let's have a look. Now left back is interesting. Do you go with Malassi or do you go with Dallo? Um, it seems that Dallo has gone ahead as in terms of fullback choice and his adaptability. So I suspect he'll go with Dallo again. Although I would like to see more from Malassi. I think that he's got a lot of ground to improve and get better, but needs to be given time. CDM wise, it's going to be Fred. Well, I don't say it's gonna. It could be because McTominay, I think, as far as is still out. Bruno's out. So really, you can only play Ericsson, Sabitzer, and Fred. Really, no, sorry, Casemiro, Fred, Sabitzer, Ericsson. Yes, sorry, my bad. So I think you put Casemiro here. And then you sorry. And then I think it's a question of Sabitzer Ericsson. Now, personally, for me, I think of the emotional tax, and also the fact that I just think that Ericsson can be a good. I don't think he has the legs anymore, so I don't think playing first, but definitely be a very good impact sub. So I suggest we start with Sabitzer in the cam role. Sabitzer, yes. Now for the front three, Marshall and Rashford are available, it seems. And I assume it'll be, and I think Anthony's as well. So I think that's going to be the front three. Yeah, because is Rashford? Yeah, Rashford's available. Right. So if you can see the starting 11, De Gea, Shaw, Lindelof, Dallo, Wan-Bissaka, Casemiro, Fred, Sabitzer, Rashford, Anthony, and Martial. And then that's all I say, really. It's just, can we, can we allow Fred to actually play a game? Because that would be fairly useful, and we've actually missed him, to be honest. This team needs our 11 first team players. I'm looking at options, and damn, these guys are awful. You mean on the bench? Because yeah, off the bench, United don't really have a lot of options, really. They really don't. Uh, but that is the reason. Sorry, Yon. Quite had a long day today, but that's the reason why, unfortunately, guys, City are where they are because City have a good squad, and Manchester United don't have a good squad. We barely have a good starting 11 when everyone's fit that can beat anyone on the day. But the reality is that outside of that, United don't have a good starting 11. We don't. Marcel and even Weghorst are on our loanees anyway. So as soon as if we don't renew, as soon as they're gone in June, they're gone in June. There's nothing to add to that, which means that you need to sign a new midfielder and you need to sign another striker. And those are two priorities. In fact, you could argue you need to probably sign two midfielders because Donny, goodness knows what he's going. Maybe he should be sold. Casemiro is fine. Fred, is not the greatest, but he's a nice utility player. Ericsson, like I said, it's not. He's he's getting a bit older, and I'd rather he you know pace himself. And then of course you've got Bruno, who's not available. Shout out to PSG INT. Shout out to you, Bobby. Hope you're doing well, man. Congrats on, I think it's 10K subscribers you have. Let me know your secret. Let me know your secret. How did you get to 10K? Send me a DM. Send me a DM, buddy. Send me a DM. What was your secret to get to 10K subscribers? Let me know. And obviously the community on there as well. We need to do something joint sometime, so because potentially we might be Qatari brothers soon. So it is what it is. But yeah, that's what I think is, if everyone can see that, that's what I think the starting 11 is going to be. There could be some changes. I wouldn't be surprised if Ten Hag starts Eriksen and instead of Fred, which, like I said, for me is a bad idea. I think, like, if I'm honest, the biggest mistake I think Ten Hag is making right now is not playing Fred. Fred is simply a really useful utility player. Really useful. And I just feel like against against Sevilla and against Brighton and some few games, he just would have been very useful. And not I mean starting, not coming off. Like, he would just, his ability to press from the front, and I don't know, to press from the front to win the ball high up the field and give it to attackers has been very useful. Without him, we don't have anyone who really does that, because Eriksen doesn't do that. Like, Eriksen is a great player if you want to unlock defenses and break teams down, but he doesn't really press. He doesn't have the defensiveness to come back, and that's why against Brighton, against Sevilla, so many times we were so exposed. So against Spurs, who have a somewhat competent midfield, we need to start Fred, and Ten Hag needs to do that. I will, bro, but it's simple. Shorts, yes. That's it. I think my shorts, I don't do a lot of shorts. So I should probably do more. I have a shorts channel called Red X, which I post on, but yes, I need to do more shorts, I think. I've not been doing a lot. And I don't, but yeah, I probably need to do more shorts. So yeah, thanks for the heads up. Good evening, runners. I see United beating Spurs. They must be so depressed from that loss. Well, alternatively, different things can happen. They can be depressed, or they can be like, right, okay, we want to actually do something now. We want to actually get revenge, So that's a possibility. Lolo, yeah, exactly. I know, buddy, but we will. We'll do a Qatari Brothers podcast. Qatari Brothers podcast, United and PSG. Qatari Brothers podcast, man. That's a good team, but I think some of that team still may be tired from the final. Yeah, I don't disagree there. But I'm trying to think what else. I mean, okay, maybe like I said, you bring in Malacia for Dallo and give Dallo a rest. Fred obviously didn't really play that much, so he can start. Casemiro has to start. The centre backs, the only other thing is that you bring in Maguire, like I said, and put Luke Shaw on the left and rest Dallo. But I don't know. I just think that with Harry Kane and with Spurs want to go and getting some revenge, we need some solidity at defense, and I just don't trust Kane. That said, he has played. Was it Ollie even ragging last year? We always seem to slap Spurs, so maybe it's not that big of a deal. But I wouldn't be surprised if Manchester United gave Spurs a victory if don't take this professionally. Shout out to AD, man. Hope you're doing well. Make sure you subscribe to his channel. So we're almost running up here, guys, because it's late here. I need to go to sleep. But what are my score predictions for this? What are my score predictions? Well, I don't think it's going to be as easy or straightforward as what happened with Newcastle away. But I do think that we can still beat Spurs. Purely from the fact that Ryan Mason is the manager. I mean, they sacked their main manager, hired his assistant, then sacked the assistant with the interim, effectively, which is essentially what Lampard is. although he wasn't an assistant, but he was a hire. And so they sacked the assistant coach, and now brought in the assistant coach, which is in Ryan Mason. So you can see that how Spurs and Chelsea are just run as banter clubs now. Potentially Arsenal would have been had it not been for this run, this season to get where they are. But they could potentially be called it because it's just how badly sometimes these clubs are run. But it is what it is. Anyway, but yeah, I'm gonna predict probably a 2-1. I'm not sure if we'll keep a clean sheet, but I think we'll be able to win 2-1. And of course, by winning 2-1, I think I'll say this now: like if Manchester United are able to, if they're able to beat Spurs and Villa this week, I think top four is ours. I already think top four is ours because I just think that Spurs don't have enough. But let me just quickly show everyone the table, and then we'll have a look at some of the other fixtures, and then we'll go. So just for those. This is the starting 11 for those who can see it. And this is the starting 11 I would go with what's available. Let me know what you think, obviously, in the comments. Now I'm going to just quickly show the Premier League table, so hopefully everyone can see that. So obviously this is our Premier League table here. I agree, Eddie. We need fresh legs. Yeah, I don't disagree with that. But for me, I would probably rotate. On Sunday against Villa. Personally, that's what I would do. Because you're going to be at home, and I think that's reasonable. Geez, look at Arsenal's form. 1 win in their last 5. They went from this to this. They have arguably the worst. If you look at it. They have arguably the worst form in the top. No, Spurs have worst form. Do they? Yeah, Spurs have worst form. Yeah, in the top 6. Yeah, they've got the worst form in the top 6. Arsenal right now, with 1 win in their last 5. And you want to win it? You can't win a title with that form. At least 2 of these have to be wins, And now you're only 2 points ahead of City, who have basically who have 2 games in hand of you guys. Awful. But it is what it is. It's Manchester. They've got it. So yeah. Anyway, United obviously 4th place. Spurs, who are now somehow moved down to 7th, and are still 2 games in hand over. They could, the way Spurs are going right now, they could easily finish 8th. Possibly, maybe, depending on how Brentford do, although they're 6 points behind. But you don't know how much these L's are going to take, because they're going to take an L, 33 to United, hopefully, and possibly they'll take an L to Liverpool. So you never know. They could end up being 8th or 9th, potentially close to Chelsea. We're in a world where Brentford are ahead of Fulham, Chelsea, potentially Spurs and Palace, but it is what it is. Anyway, going back to Manchester United so I can round this thing up again. Let me know what you guys think in the chat, guys. What are your score predictions? Get them in the chat, please do. But yeah, the way that I see it, United on the same points as with Newcastle with a game in hand. They've got 3 games in hand. I thought it was 2 actually, but it's actually 3. Oh, come on, man. No, we've got this. 3 games in hand over Villa, and we're still 5 points ahead of them. So, I don't think Villa. I know people are like, oh, Aston Villa aren't a threat. Their form are good. Even if we lose to Villa, we still got good 2 games in hand over them. And if we were to win those 2 games in hand, we're 65 points and they've got 54 points. It's a gap, and it's impossible to. I would say it's difficult to climb unless we capitulate. That's why a win over Spurs and Villa would be so good, because it just makes it absolutely sure. So I would argue this week, the way I sort of see it, United fans, is that this is the week where we confirm top four. You beat Spurs and you beat Villa, and as far as I'm concerned, that's top four confirmed. Even though Liverpool are sneaking in here, um, at the end of the day, they are, I think, 6 points behind us, and they've got 2 games in hand. So it's possible. Could Liverpool sneak in if we do a massive bottle job? Possibly. I think if we lose two of these games, and then it's possible. 6 points is not that much. But they've got only got 6 games to do it, and that's 18 points. And we have 8 games, so we've got 24 points to do it in. So it is what it is. But I mean, I look at Liverpool right now, and they'll probably beat Spurs. I mean, they've got 4 out of their last 6 are home games. So they'll probably beat Spurs. They'll probably beat Fulham. They'll probably beat Brentford at home. They'll probably beat Villa at home. And then you look at Liverpool and Leicester and Southampton, that are Leicester's garbage, Southampton garbage. So really and truly, to be honest, Liverpool will probably get all 24 points here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They will probably get all 24 points here. And so let's have a look. I'm going to just do the maths, guys, to just be sure. Let's do this maths. Yeah, Liverpool is potentially the only club who can win their remaining games. Yeah, I think Liverpool, looking at Liverpool's fixtures, Liverpool, because they've got 4 home games and they're great at home, they'll probably beat Fulham. I think they'll win all their home games. I genuinely think they will, the form they're on. And then their away games against Leicester and Southampton. So I think that when you look at the table, and I'll just work this out with my week calculator, 53 plus 24, so that's 77 points. So Liverpool could get a maximum of 77 points right now, which means that United have to get, let's say, 78 minus 159. Yeah. We get that? So United have 8. So that's 8 times 3. 24. 24 minus 19. Yeah. So it looks like I think United have to probably get about 18 points from their last 18 points from the last 24 points. Which essentially means that, yeah, we can only lose 2 games. Ooh. Now the more I think about it, the more I'm like, Liverpool are potentially actually a threat. And they're probably a threat to Newcastle as well. Liverpool potentially are a threat. They potentially are a threat. So it's very important. I'm looking at the games that we have. You win those, and then, yeah, it's very, very, very important that United win this week. These 2 games, it tightens it, I think. But you could maybe take an L against Brighton, and maybe that's it. Maybe Chelsea, possibly. So, but yeah, we will see what happens, definitely. But Liverpool, the games they have in the form they are definitely a threat. So, and they are definitely a threat. So we've got to bear that in mind. Okay. Anyway, guys, thank you so much. Yeah, 70 was it? 71 points is the match. I don't think 71 points is going to be enough. I don't think 71 points is going to be enough because, I mean, City and Arsenal already got secured, so ignore them. Newcastle, obviously, they're not secure, but I look at Newcastle's schedule as well here. And, okay, they have, I think we have the hardest schedule. They have Southampton at home. Probably they'll win. Leeds away, probably win. Leicester at home, probably win. Newcastle at home, I think last one 3-4, so they might win there. So I can easily see Newcastle winning here away to Everton, winning that, winning that, winning that, winning that. Maybe Brighton winning that, definitely. So really, it's Brighton. They're still playing Brighton at home. So if I'm honest, United have the harder fixtures. We do have the harder fixtures compared to Liverpool and Newcastle. So it's going to be a tough fight. But all we can do is win our games and hope that at some point these guys slip. So because we need to just sort of keep and maintain that gap. And I think that if United can, um, if we can beat Spurs, we can beat Villa, then really all you need, I think, in my opinion, is assuming that Liverpool win their games, is 3 more wins, probably. So you beat West Ham away, you beat Bournemouth away, and then maybe you beat Chelsea at home, and that's us for top four. But it is what it is. But anyway, guys. Thank you so much, everyone who tuned in. Really appreciate it. If you are new to the channel, to like, share, and subscribe to Red Devil Studio. Follow us on Twitter, United X, and smash the notification button for latest Manchester United news and more. Have a nice day, everyone. And I'll be back at the end of tomorrow evening where I'll be doing my match reaction to Spurs games. Make sure you get involved. Have a nice day, everyone. And cheers. Peace. I've had so many technical issues today. Sorry, guys. Sorry.